Alright, Schlockmeisters fans, it's time for the 1979 horror anthology, Screams of a Winter Night. Let's check it out. The movie starts with a bunch of young adults heading out into the woods for a weekend getaway. There are 10 of them.
Look, we're nearly there.
They stop for gas at a Louisiana gas station and meet a young William Ragsdale.
Say, where are you guys headed for anyway? Lake Durand. I guess you guys haven't heard about all the weird stuff that's happening up there. Yes, we have. Thanks.
What an odd bunch. Well, deep in the woods, they finally do reach the cabin, and they open it up, and it's a little rustic. A little cobwebby. John is telling this guy Cal some stories.
They found the old man over by the bar. His head was ripped right off. Never did find it. They found one of the boys over near the edge of the woods. His body had been pulled apart like a wishbone. It chased the Indians' tribe off a long time ago. And ran off the farmers, too. It was the spirit of the wind. That's what Chataba means. There it is. That's the Durand place. And that's the Durand. Pretty interesting, huh?
John tells a story about the Moss Point Man.
No. Listen, have any of you ever heard of the Moss Point Man? The what? The Moss Point Man.
Well, I've heard of that.
That's right. And I know for a fact that it's true.
He tells a story about a couple, and they ran out of gas.
Roger! What do you want, miracles?
Roger heard some sort of laughing or something and took off running. and dove into the side of the road. Now, we don't really see what happens here, but I think we're led to believe he got bashed in the head. A little while later, back in the car, this girl hears something on the roof. Some scratching. Naturally, she feels the best course of action is to get out of the car, at which point she finds her man hanging.
Well, in the papers, they said the coroner said that it was juvenile. Tiny teeth marks. You're kidding. And on top of the car, small, muddy footprints.
John shows Cal a newspaper article from the 40s.
You're kidding. I told you. Look at that picture. John, this happened in the 40s, 1948.
It's time for another story.
Tell another story.
Oh, what story?
The green light, whatever that is.
Oh, boy. Perfect. I told you all...
He tells a story about a fraternity pledging.
Set it up for these guys to spend the night in an old abandoned hotel outside of town that was supposed to be haunted. And they said nobody had ever been past the first floor.
There's a mysterious green light going back and forth apparently up there.
Inside the hotel till a car came for them at daybreak. And they were told not to go beyond the first floor.
Obviously, you can see the actors who play the part in the camp or in the woods are the same people who play the parts in the stories. They talk, and then
You really think so?
they start to hear things.
Let me tell you a little bit about this deal in case you...
They think it's the fraternity brothers testing them.
Don't you get it? It is them. And now Parker's in on it. And now they think they really got us. No, listen. It's a test, right?
Of course, they decide to go upstairs where they're not supposed to. Ever. Then they split up and one goes to the next floor. He discovers the green light and sees his pal. I don't know what he's doing, but he's mesmerized by that light. And it's creepy.
Two guys in the upper room. They were all scratched up, bleeding, exhausted, circling around under an empty light socket.
Sally, everybody's very best friend.
People are getting on each other's nerves now.
Little Miss Popularity. You ever wondered why you're not?
Good grief! What's with everybody anyway?
Calmer heads prevail and a new story is told.
The little town I'm from is very old. It's one of the oldest towns in the whole country.
It tells a story about a strange old woman.
Not the townspeople, though. Most of them thought she was crazy. They say she was a witch. And that they'd have burned her alive if it hadn't been for the priests. We're doing this project. Digging for old artifacts near the cemetery or something. What they dug up was an old, unmarked grave. Empty.
It was the witch. Anyway, the boys are
Over there.
in the cemetery and there's some movement.
Oh, I ought to be home. No, come on. Let's go take a look. Oh, my God.
As they're running away from this flying witch, one of them falls into an open grave. They got separated. The other guy runs off. I guess he's trying to leap over the spiked fence. Or was that the witch who just passed in front of him? Either way, it doesn't work out for him.
Then I'll go.
They're going into town to get some stuff.
Not all that far, and it won't take that long.
Let's all go. Let's leave.
Look, we're just gonna make a run to the store, okay, Juki?
She's starting to panic.
We can't leave now.
For goodness sakes, Juki.
Is it a monster out there? Or is it just two of the guys joking around?
So we did.
It's time for one final story from the bitchy Elaine.
The wrong friend.
She tells a story about a woman who was in college, didn't get a lot of dates, so they tried to set her up with somebody.
After the briefest of...
It doesn't go too well for her because he comes on a little too strong.
Oh, come on. Don't fight it. I'm not going to hurt you.
But she has a weapon.
Out on the highway. She told him an hysterical story about some maniac who had attacked them out on the bluff. He came upon them suddenly out of nowhere. Somehow she had gotten away.
Anyway, back to college she goes, and she has a roommate who apparently borrowed one of her shawls without permission, which causes her to kind of go crazy, lose her mind, literally. So she ransacked the roommate's side of the room, including ripping up a pretty cool Robert Plant poster.
Why? Why? I don't understand.
Isn't that mine? Isn't it?
You mean you did this because I borrowed your shawl?
She's not done either. She left the room at one point, but when she comes back, she's wielding a knife. She'll never borrow her shawl again, that's for sure. Back to our group of adults in the cabin. Kind of seems like they're going a little stir crazy as well. And she's panicking. Shuki's losing her mind.
Juki, stop it now. It's all right.
Leave me alone! Get away! John!
It's halfway up the road.
Some of them want to go immediately.
There's no reason to stay.
Buddy, just take it easy.
John, please, can't we? Cal,
It's getting a little windy outside.
listen to that. What's going on out there?
So 4 of them decide to leave.
You're crazy!
John! Elaine!
So 4 are gone, 6 are left. Elaine fell backward when that window blew open and impaled herself. Gets even more and more chaotic in the cabin. Crushes her. And then the whole place just blows. We never find out exactly what happened to the other 4 who managed to escape the house before it blew. But I'm sure it wasn't good. Alright, let's talk about Screams of a Winter Night. It's the Blu-ray that everybody's been clamoring for in recent weeks and months. It's a movie that came out in 1979 theatrically. It's an anthology, and it came out on VHS in the early 80s. I don't know if it was VCI or magnetic, one of those labels, and the tape was kind of sought after for quite a while after that. Very rare tape. I never had it, never acquired it. I was aware of the movie, I just never saw it until Code Red unearthed it recently and pressed, I believe, 1,000 of these Blu-rays. So anyway, the movie itself, like I said, it's an anthology, and when it was released theatrically, there was 3 stories in it. However, the filmmakers actually made 4. And there was a 4th story about a witch in the woods, which they cut because the producers or whoever thought the film was too long. And because that particular story was shot in the dark a lot, they didn't think it would play well on the drive-in circuit. So they removed it. And then it was, I guess, presumed lost for all these years until Code Red unearthed it. And when they put the Blu-ray out recently, they added that scene, that part back in. So we got all 4 stories in here. The film itself is about a group of adults. They all look like they're in their late 20s. They go to a cabin in the woods on a lake somewhere in Louisiana. I think it was filmed in Black Lake, Louisiana, near the city of Natchitoches or something like that. And while they're there, they start telling each other stories. They're kind of like ghost stories type of thing. They have one story about a green light. We have one story about this guy who got hung, some creature in the wood, the Moss Point Man. We have the story about the witch. And then, of course, we have the story with a woman who almost got raped. And at the end of this movie, they all kind of get freaked out. And next thing you know, there's a bunch of wind blowing. The windows blow open. 4 of the people run out. They leave. And those 6 who are left inside the house blow up. The entire house blows up. And then the last 4 running through the woods, and the movie ends. We don't know really what happened to them, but there was some screaming, some growling, and who knows, maybe they're dead. I don't know. So anyway, the movie itself, I actually quite enjoyed it. It's PG, so there's no nudity. There's not a lot of gore, but there's a couple of gore scenes in it. It's kind of cool seeing the 4th story in there, although I never knew that there was a 4th story until now, so this is all new to me, period. But I enjoyed the movie. I liked the atmosphere of the movie. It was kind of a creepy feel. I love when there's silence on a soundtrack and there's just like the wind blowing and stuff. That kind of stuff is really cool to me. I really like that a lot, and this movie had some of that. The actors and actresses in this movie, most of them did very little else, if nothing else. There is an interview on this disc with a guy named Gil Glasgow who plays Steve, kind of the heavier set guy. unrecognizable now. He actually looks better now than he did back then, if you ask me. He's done a lot of TV stuff since then, a few movies here and there. He's had a little bit of a career, but he has a pretty cool interview on here. It's like a 21-minute interview. He talks about the cast. He's still friends with some of the cast. He says, I'm friends with them on Facebook, and sure enough, I found his Facebook account, and he is friends with those people. So anyway, like I said, the Blu-ray came out maybe about January, maybe 2 months ago, I'm not sure, January of 2019. And they only pressed 1,000 of these, so they were snatched up pretty fast. And if you want to get one of these on eBay or stuff, they're going to cost you about $45 to $50 right now is about the cheapest you're going to find this thing. And these Code Red movies, they sell out fast, and people want them, and they try to track them down. So I think Code Red did a good job with this one. I like it. The picture looks great. Audio looks great, and it's a cool movie. I think you like it, so let me know what you think about it. If you got this movie, leave some comments down below. We'll discuss it. It's called Screams of Winter Night. Watch it. Bye.